Solve the quadratic equation using the square root property. So we have 2 times the quantity x minus 4 squared minus 6 equals 0. So to use the square root property, the first thing that we want to do is isolate this x minus 4 squared, the binomial squared. So to do that, I'm going to begin by adding 6 to both sides. So we have 2 times x minus 4 squared is equal to 6. And then to finish our isolating, we're going to divide both sides by 2. So we have x minus 4 squared is equal to 6 divided by 2 equals 3. So this is the format that we need in our equation to be able to use the square root property, that we have a quantity with our variable squared on one side of the equal sign and just a constant on the other side. Once we have this, what the square root property says is that we can take the square root of both sides as long as we remember our plus or minus. So the square root of a quantity squared, those are inverse operations that will cancel each other out, leaving just our x minus 4. We have plus or minus the square root of 3. 3 is not a perfect square and it doesn't have any factors that are perfect squares, so that cannot be simplified, and we'll just leave it as is. To finish, we still want to solve for x, so adding 4 to both sides, we get that x is equal to 4 plus or minus the square root of 3. So keep in mind, this is really giving us two solutions. We have 4 plus square root of 3 and 4 minus the square root of 3. So the plus or minus is giving us two solutions to this quadratic equation. Think for a moment about what we know about this quadratic. It's in our vertex form. So looking at this equation, it's really saying find the horizontal intercepts of the function f of x equals 2 times x minus 4 squared minus 6. Since we have it set equal to 0, solving our function equal to 0 tells us about horizontal intercepts. So this is a quadratic that has h equal to 4 and k equal to negative 6. And so the vertex is at the point 4, negative 6. So picture just kind of a rough sketch of what that would look like. So 4, negative 6 would be a point down here in quadrant 4. It's a positive value of a equals 2, and so this is opening facing upward. What we have found are these horizontal intercepts for our function. And so one of our horizontal intercepts is 4 plus root 3 comma 0, and the other is 4 minus root 3 comma 0. Or we could find decimal approximations. It's about 2.3 and about 5.7 if we put those in our calculator. And so what the solutions to our equation set equal to 0 are telling us are the zeros of this function, or the x coordinates of our horizontal intercepts. And so this is a quadratic with a vertex at 4, negative 6, using our vertex form to find h and k. And what we've found when we solve our equation are really telling us about coordinates for our horizontal or our x-intercepts of this function. So one key thing to remember when you're using the square root property, when you go to take the square root of both sides to get rid of the exponent of 2, be sure to remember the plus or minus so that you end up with both of your solutions.